Hey guys, it's Panic here with some more Fortnite. If you're new here, this channel is focused on all things Fortnite, whether it be tutorials or thoughtful commentary on whatever's going on in the game. I'm super excited for today's video because it's all about the thing I love most about Fortnite, and it is build battles. There's nothing in the game gets my blood pumping and my adrenaline going like a good build battle. And when you're in the moment, it's hard to know what you need to do, so I find it helps to go back and rewatch it and see where you could have done something better. So in this video, I've lined up 3 build battles that I had recently. The first 2 were okay, but the third one you don't want to miss. It was one of those like you see on PC where it just goes up into the sky like crazy. We're going to go through these clips and see what I was thinking, identify things I should have done, and point out mistakes I made. I'm hopeful we get even more build battles like that on console, with Builder Pro being a thing now. So some things to note before I start off here is that I'm using Builder Pro in these clips and I'm getting better with it, but you'll see it's going to be a running theme that I keep getting trapped under my own ramps a lot with it. I guess that's something that'll just have to work itself out with practice. I'm not quite building at 100% in these, but it's plenty good enough to use. Getting into the video now, I'm going to let these clips play out so you can see what happened and then talk about them afterwards. In this first one, I thought it really highlighted how to safely get on an opponent's level when they have the dominant high ground on you. This mountain is Grandma's house just outside of Fatal Fields, but you can't tell it because a small build battle has broken out, or maybe this guy just likes to make wonky forts. I don't know what happened here, but I can tell him what's about to happen. The angles don't get a whole lot steeper than this. Now in this situation, even if you've got the double ramp wall technique mastered, it's completely useless here because he has such a good angle on us. So what I do in this situation is the 2 wall, 1 ramp combo straight up like I showed off in my tutorial. I have no idea what to call it, so leave your suggestions in the comments. As you can see, I use it here and it keeps me from getting shot, but then just when I'm almost to a position where I can bust out the ramp rush, I wind up trapping myself under my ramp due to not being used to Builder Pro. But that's okay. When you're dumb like me and you wind up in this situation, you just concede the high ground temporarily to box yourself in. You'll have to edit yourself an escape that you can get out from, as you'll see me do here. I try to pull off the juke, as I guess you would call it, but my opponent doesn't fall for it. What I tried to do there was build a door instead of cutting a corner in my wall so that he would hear the door opening, then build a platform. Then I immediately cut a corner in the wall beside me and started to build my way out for real. Like I said, my opponent doesn't fall for it and he tracks me with his hearing perfectly and shoots me in the back as I try to build up. I got a little greedy hoping he'd fall for my juke tactic, and it wound up costing me a shotgun shot. I should have just built ramps, and I should have done the juke to the opposite side instead of so close to where I was really exiting. I will point out for the reason that I chose to exit from the side I did is it ran close to the center of the big structure we were fighting on. You don't want to build out and away from the structure unless you have to, as all your opponent has to do is take out his AR and shoot your ramps out and you'll just fall and die. So after I get shot, I whip around with my walls and start ramping at him trying to gain the high ground, but he ramps right into mine and we meet for the close range shotgun battle. You may notice I'm using a blue burst instead of a shotgun, and that's because I forgot to switch to it at any point during that fight and I wasn't expecting to have to fight him there. Luckily I committed and aimed for the headshot and won out. So here's what happened in the next clip. On to the next battle. It's a similar situation to the first. I had just killed and finished looting a guy when someone ambushes me from the natural high ground, and I get shot a couple of times while I'm panic building, but as soon as I catch up and have my front protected, I jump up with a rocket launcher shot to put a little pressure of my own. I noticed my opponent started building to protect herself, so I take the opportunity to ramp rush her with the intention to put a rocket in her face when I get high enough, but to my surprise my opponent can build and quickly ramps over me, which I didn't expect, because I underestimated her. So you'll notice I'm in the same situation as before, except I didn't do it to myself this time. So I boxed myself in, and an important point to make here is that I made sure to cover myself with my own floor panel over my head, because I know the ramp above me is hers and not mine. When you're boxing yourself in a situation like this, it's absolutely essential that every piece of that box is yours and yours alone, because if your opponent owns a piece of it, they can just edit a hole and kill you. As you can see, I just barely got that floor piece over my head before she cuts her ramp and tries to shotgun me. She sees I've covered myself, so she takes out her AR and tries to get into my box, but I don't let it happen. Then I cut a wall and work my way out, but my opponent is all over me, not giving me any room to breathe whatsoever. She was very effective at keeping the high ground over me and tracked me to a T wherever I went. I managed to knock her down right behind the wall I'm in front of, so I go for the reload and try to edit a window to blast her, but unfortunately I cannot get this edit to work for me. It was bugged and I have to re-enter edit mode a time or two to get it to work. By the time I get it, I miss my opportunity and she's already on the high ground again. So I run away from her to the side, and of course she hears me and is right on top of me. We trade shots, both landing a hit, and I have to go back on the defense, boxing myself in again. She tries to shoot my roof in and I keep replacing it, eventually working my way out yet again to drink a mini shield while she looks for me. Then I take off again, went out away from the battle to try to give myself room to ramp up, and it finally works, but unfortunately I only did a single ramp instead of a ramp wall. There's no reason not to ramp wall there. Now normally you never want to just engage in a shotgun battle on level ground with someone. The whole point of build battles is to get the high ground so you can deal damage without taking any in return. But by this point I'm more than happy to take the close quarters fight because she dominated me for most of the fight. So I pump her once and switch to my scar and take her down with a headshot. Normally I like to have a pump tack combo for these situations, but I was just running a single pump this time, so I had to switch to the scar to finish the job. So there was plenty I could have done better for that fight. I shouldn't have underestimated her in the beginning. I should have kept right on building over her before I stopped building, but instead I completely gave up the high ground. Had to play from the low ground for most of that fight. Next up is the final clip, and this one's a doozy, so check it out. Battles like these are the reason I play Fortnite. These battles are what I live for in this game, but unfortunately this one's going to have to be a post-mortem analysis. I do wind up losing this build battle, but it was too epic not to analyze and break down. Also because I know I'll get a lot of comments asking if I don't say it. I am well aware that it may have been a smart play at certain points in this fight to try to go down and break the structure down to kill him, but I just didn't want to do that. It's so rare to run into a guy that you can really test your building skills against, so there was no chance I was going to throw that away to try and end it early. The kill means nothing to me. The experience I got from letting this build battle play out was priceless. Plus, he's an extremely good player, so he probably would have just followed me down as soon as he seen me stop building. So let's get into it here. I see an enemy going around the side of this mountain outside a retail row, so I start ramping my way up towards him. I think I'm rolling up on just another noob here, and I run up and take a shot, but then I fall down like a scrub, but it's okay because he falls a little bit too. I get the high ground again on him and take another shot, only for him to blaze 4 walls down to block the shot and take the high ground on me. And it's only at this point do I realize that I'm in a build battle here. This is my biggest weakness in Fortnite, as you can see, because I underestimate virtually everyone until I can see whether or not they know how to build. Well, this guy could build alright. We both build up and he ramps over me, so I switch directions, but unfortunately block my own path with a wall instead of a ramp, because I'm dumb. Luckily, it looks like my opponent gets his weapons mixed up for a moment, buying me some time. He runs around to cut his stairs, but I cut my wall just in time and hop on out of there, causing him to miss his shotgun shot on me. I'll start trying to ramp over him again, but before I know it, he slams a ramp down on top of me, blocking my way and really screwing me up. So I box myself in while I assess the situation and decide to try to edit up, but it doesn't work. He gets a shot or two off on me with an SMG, and I retreat downward. I think he's going to come down, but he doesn't, so I make my exit and wrap around to try and lose him, which sort of works. I've momentarily gained the high ground on him, and I line up a pump shot only for him to block it with a ramp. This causes him to fall down, but he manages to slap another ramp right in my face, which forced me to come down as well, where a shotgun battle breaks out. I get the better of him here and nearly kill him, but I can't finish him before he jumps down, boxes himself in, and starts healing up. I foolishly jump down on his level, giving up my high ground I worked so hard for, and try to break into his box to no avail. Looking back, this is easily my biggest mistake of the whole fight. He edits out of his box and just explodes upward into a ramp rush. I scramble to chase him, and when I've nearly worked my way up to meet him, I misplaced my very last ramp I had available to me and build it over top of my head. I'm completely out of materials here, and I have no choice but to just sit under his base and wait for him to make a move, because I no longer have the ability to chase him up anymore. All I could do is sit there while he popped a med kit. Of course I wasn't keeping track of my materials and was just building freely. It was a mistake, of course. You know the rest. He jumps down and I potato my shotgun shots and get killed. He loots me, jumps down, and looks up at the structure we both made, and he stood still for a few seconds, so I assume he was taking a screenshot. I can only hope he was as pumped as I was to have a fight like that. But yeah, in hindsight, I definitely need to be building faster, of course, but also using more ramps. This guy really showed me how powerful shoving a ramp right into someone's face can be, so I'm going to be working on that in my upcoming build battles. Not only that, another huge thing I need to work on is to stop underestimating my opponents. I'm going to try and play like every opponent is this guy from here on out. But that wraps up my analysis of these build battles. I know it absolutely helps me to go back and see what I could have done better in these hectic situations and break everything down, so I'm hopeful that you guys can get something out of this too. Please give me some feedback on the layout of this video. Was there a better way to do it? In the future, I may just do these off the cuff in replay mode, but I felt like it made these battles look really cool with the drone style shots and editing them all together. So if you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. If you have some friends that might like to see this, then please share this with them. I've got a ton of videos planned, so keep watching and I'll see you in the next one.